When you start to sell access, you could sell time in a pre-recorded fashion because knowledge has an expiration date like milk. But milk gets replaced all the time in the supermarket. So does knowledge, if you're not lazy. If you record the content and you have a cadence, then you could always be like the milkman or the supermarket putting new milk in, and every 2 weeks the expiration date doesn't matter because people are always going to buy milk.
In this episode, we have John Ramirez, also known as JB. He's the host of some of HighLevel's podcasts and trainings and masterclasses that helps high-level agencies start, grow, and scale their high-level business on top of the HighLevel platform. JB joined us today in the studio to break down and share his experience of his evolution of AI and what he's seen in the marketplace, as well as what are agency owners doing today to win. So without further ado, let's get right into the podcast and talk about the growth of HighLevel. Thank you for being on this episode, JB. How does it feel to be on the other side of the mic in the first place?
Well, I'll tell you this. I appreciate you even thinking of inviting me. This is not what I do, right? So I work for HighLevel. I'm meeting agency owners. I'm meeting end users all day long. And the last thing I'm doing is thinking about how am I going to put myself out and do a tap dance and look at me. Mm-hmm. Everything is about who I'm interviewing to bring the best out of them and then the best purpose and use for the customer. It's not how fancy can we make it look. So now I kind of understand and now I know what it feels like to be on this side.
Yeah.
Because I've never been on a podcast. That's not what I do.
Here's what I've seen, and here's my perspective on it, right? And why I asked you to be on the podcast is, yes, usually you're the one hosting the podcast spotlight sessions, you're doing the master classes, you're bringing these experts to train on their use of HighLevel, their business models, their experience, and so forth. So you are like a vault of knowledge that is having, this experience, and you take all of that. Now, what's coming out of you? What information could you help the next agency owner that you've gathered that could help them go to the next level?
I'll say this, perception's reality, and that's the example. What you just said, your perception of me with these guests and these people is John's got to know the answers. JB's got to know the answers. He talks to a lot of people. The reality is it's not just the answers or the questions you ask, it's how you process it. And it's how you look at it from a strategic standpoint. And that usually comes from failure. That usually comes from stories that you either see, hear, or witness. And it could be from a family-owned business failing in front of your eyes, a relationship in life failing in front of your eyes, or just you being a good observer. And I think that's the processor of today's brain. Your perception is this, but reality is you take all this impact of information, you have to sort it out because it's not happening on its own. So when I meet with these folks, amazing people that I would have never met if it wasn't for HighLevel or the stage, I'm really looking at it as if I was a new user tomorrow and I wanted to get started and money was not the problem. The money's there. It's how do I make this all happen based off of what this person that's successful is doing? And how do I apply it to a brick and mortar business, a high profile attorney, financial planner, 1099 person? Doesn't matter. That's the art. So I don't know if I answered your question 100%, but processing it is the key. And that's where the magic happens.
The processing, you're talking about like taking the knowledge and applying.
Yeah, because I binge it. We all binge a little bit. We could listen to masterclasses, podcasts, YouTube, premium, without any type of advertisements. What do you do with that information?
What do you do with that information?
Loaded question. I don't want to, this is my perspective. This is me as an individual. I represent HighLevel because I work for the company, but it's not saying that you should do this as a HighLevel user because I'm saying it. Right? I just want to put it out there because sometimes people will take the word of somebody and run with it because of the association. And that's not fair for anybody. So for me personally, when I got into my role and doing what I'm doing in this ecosystem of very, very analytical, smart, bullish customers, I won't just take the first answer you say. They're doing research. They're back channeling stuff, whether it's frameworks or your expertise is I would gather the information, whether it's through a transcript. I leverage some of the AI to kind of decipher what action steps are in there. I then look at their online presence. Does the online presence that they're sharing and doing match the advice they're giving? And I'm not saying that you have to show that you own multiple businesses or you have to show nice cars or anything. Is your work ethic obvious? You could usually see someone's work ethic by how they act, they do, what they share. As I start to meet people, even in all types of industries that I've been in the past, it's getting past just the perception, it's understanding the inner heart. The heart is what makes a lot of people successful, not just the effort.
I love it. What have you seen as you explored being part of HighLevel and before HighLevel? Let's talk about what were you doing before HighLevel?
Man, you got some good questions, bro. And we talked about this because I met you at Level Up 2024.
Yes.
The summit,
Yes.
HighLevel Summit 2024. We were at the arcade.
I do remember that.
The F1 motoring, the whole thing we were
Yeah,
at.
and one of the things I got to share is like the opportunity is in the show up. When people are saying, hey, I want to get in the community, I want to get connected, it's when you show up to those experiences. I think part of the reason that you're here, if I was just a random email that said, hey, JB, would you like to come out to do a podcast with me? It probably would have gone a little different, but because I was able to have that relationship with you, I showed up to Level Up Summit. So the point I'm making, show up to Level Up Summit, show up to the mastermind, show up to the events, get connected.
But they're all a premium. You got to pay to be in the room.
Well, you got to pay one of many ways. You either got to pay in money, you got to pay in time. So if you're not paying money to be in the room, paying money to be in the room is compressing time. So you got to pay in time and spend 2-3 years to get up there, or just pay whatever it is, $1,000 ticket, $2,000 ticket, but compress 2 or 3 years of knowledge in relationship building over the course of a weekend. So you're gonna have to pay.
Yeah, when we met, were you one of the speakers there? Because I was brand new, so I didn't know you then. So it's not like I saw you in the magazine and knew. I was my first one, fairly new. 2024, was that the
2023? 2023, I spoke on stage. I was
Uh-huh.
on the SaaS panel sharing about my experience of being a Go HighLevel SaaS agency.
And then Summit 2024.
2024, I was not a speaker.
So you paid the premium to be.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Okay, so that's how we met.
100%. I paid the premium to be there.
And I was working there, so I got in, right? Because I worked there.
Yeah.
And in that group, that was a VIP only group. So they picked team members to volunteer the time to make sure that those customers felt great.
Yeah.
And we were just kind of walking off our own distance. It's not like you said, hey, you're assigned to Andy. It was
Right.
just kind of, hey, man, what's going on? What's your story like? And then you told me about your story about, building events and working for some high profile speakers. And then we talked about SaaS without it being SaaS. We just connected. Why I say all that, man, is because a lot of people don't know the conversations to have because they're not looking at the room they're in. And when we got to meet, I knew of you because that year prior, like you had mentioned, you did the speaking, and then I was working those events for the SaaS Mastermind, so that your name would come up. And I think the biggest part of everything here is being around knowledgeable people that excite you to share knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
Because then you are required. Your responsibility becomes you having to have new knowledge to share. You feel empty-handed. It's like going to a family party and not bringing anything. Not that you need to bring a 3-course meal, but bring some good dessert. So I like to bring something based on, again, you could go many levels of this preparation for conferences and for events.
Yeah.
But if you have enough in the reserve, you could share based on what they want to do. So I don't know if I answered the exact question that's going to give everyone the secret sauce of like, oh my God, they just shared this on the podcast. I'm going to do it now and make millions. This is not the spot. I'm not the guest for that one. But I will say that the people I've met, man, I've taken notes. I've seen receipts. And we don't always get to share everything because there's limitations. And it's not to show off, it's to show out.
When people have an opportunity to go to an event, I remember going to the SaaSpreneur Mastermind. I think they changed it, they call it now SaaSpreneur Live. And when you look at how many events that the SaaSpreneur Mastermind has had in the United States, the amount of events I've gone to more. So if I calculate how many HighLevel has put on, percentage-wise is more than 50%, more than 60%. I've gone to so many of them that Varun, one of the co-founders, came to me and said, Andy, why are you coming to all these events? He pulled me aside and he said, this a couple years ago, this is designed for more new people. You already have an agency. It's already up and running. Why do you come to these events? It's always like that one nugget, that one implementation that can strike something new inside of your business and take you to a whole new level.
You'll cut out what you want to cut out, right? Again, I was invited by you to be here, got it approved. I'm not here. I got this jacket on, it's a little chilly, right? And I don't want to, just comfortable. It's in my nature. But I'm not looking to be corporate in any way. But I will say that corporate JB brought me where I'm at now. Because when I was working for corporate marketing companies, I learned things that the average agency owner doesn't look at it the same way. And I go back to when we met, you had shared your journey of being a young franchise owner of several cell phone stores.
Yes.
And you was going from locations that were in nice areas to locations in the hood. Mm-hmm. And the audience and the customer varied. Mm-hmm. And that applies in business. And that applies in how you share knowledge and the different levels. The most exciting part about being in the right rooms is once you identify the first right room, you know how to find the next one. Mm. If you were to look back in your case, and I'm not here to interview you, I promise you, man. I know you're like, this guy interviewing me now. I want to just highlight, because what you're building and what others are building in our ecosystem, we talk about this in general, where what makes HighLevel different is that people are building on top of it. Like back in the day, you have, Red Hat Linux, or you have an operating system, and open API or open format, whatever you call it, right? By no means a developer, but it's open-ended. And they build on top of it. And that's what people are doing in our ecosystem every day now.
Yeah.
In all languages, all different formats, they're building stuff like this.
Yeah.
Where it's education off a real life experience. Now, how do you get the education? How do you get the authority? And how you get the benefit is rubbing shoulders with other like-minded people. Because if we talk sports right now, the viewership's going to drop, because I'm not a sports person, but you may be, but our audience may not be.
What have you discovered in your role since? How long have you been with HighLevel today?
About almost 2 years.
What have you discovered that's really key, like your top discovery since you joined?
This is a different ball game. I came in trying to play football when this is more of a golf game. It changes. It changes from time to time, but it's precision because the audience is looking at your swing and they're looking how calculated you are to get the ball in the hole. Where with football, it's block and tackling. Blocking and tackling is great when you are winging it around other people that are winging it. For those that don't know this, like HighLevel was designed for marketers and agencies. This was not like, hey, if you have a business, come to HighLevel.
Yeah.
This was designed to be a tool for professionals that are serving others that run a business.
Yeah.
How people found out about us, that's a whole other story. But people spoke so much excitement about the platform that, the internet talks.
Yeah, of course.
Right? So, for me, I'm trying to block and tackle corporate JB, and I had to switch to agency JB. Now, I had a small social media marketing agency, and my first landing page was created when I got adjusted with my pay and my role at the last company I was at when COVID just hit. So I said, I'll never, ever make that mistake again. I will either monetize my knowledge or be a go-to if the event, something ever happened. That guy knows his stuff. And then you build authority, you build relationship. So when I got into what I got into, I said, man, I got to switch it up or I'm going to get kicked out. And that's when I started listening more to the users. And at first I was listening to the experts, the people that are known. And did I learn a lot? Andy, man, if it wasn't for these OGs that were just open, man, open armed. And shout out to Paulson. He was one of the original OGs here. Shout out to Chase. These are people, the people that are behind the scenes that are OGs that no one even knows. All these people welcome me with open arms, with no relationships. I didn't know anybody. And they just got to know me. And they said, man, follow us. We got you. And that's where I started to pivot. And that's where, if you look back at some of the other episodes and some of the other workshops, there's a clear evolution. Because I never started as a streamer. I started as a corporate style teacher, but not like 100% corporate teacher. Right? It's like, I don't know how to explain it. It's like, you know enough to be dangerous and well and good, but you're not 100% the expert.
Gotcha. Shout out to those people that you,
absolutely,
that you mentioned. My footing came in. It's so impressive how the timeline could be the same as far as the days and the months of the years of an experience taking place, but my perspective is different. My perspective comes from being a user and an agency owner. Your perspective comes from being in the inside of the company. And those two people that you mentioned were very pivotal in my moment, in my journey, when I remember being with Chase downtown Dallas with the first HighLevel mastermind. There was like 40 people in the room, 40 or so people in the room when I went. And this was in, I believe, 2022, maybe late 2021, around there. And I wasn't even committed to HighLevel. I wasn't even committed to the business that I operate today. I was in a completely different business model. And I remember Chase explaining the value of monthly recurring revenue, the value of blade revenue, the little sliver in between usage, and how you can create wealth that way. And it's like one of those things of like, but I know how to build websites. I'll charge someone $5,000 for a website. And it's like, yeah, you could do that, but there's other models that allow you to build a real business. And at the time, I thought I built a real business. But really, at the time, I was a natural born hustler, hustling for the next website build, for the next funnel build, for the next course.
But you had it down to a T, man.
I had it down to a T, but it required a lot of Andy. It required, and that's what I think that a lot of members are in their journey, from my perspective, is a lot of members, my personal perspective, that members are in their journey of, I know how to hustle a service, I know how to hustle a program, but do I know how to build a business that is technically part of some type of asset class? And that's what's being built for some people on top of the HighLevel platform.
I can relate to 100% that. You can't outwork a hustler. And I consider myself a hustler. while everybody was entering high level world, I was in the yellow page world. I was in the era of yellow pages transforming to software.
Yep.
Where I thought the term SaaS was a term that the company I worked for made up. I'm like, that's the worst term ever. Like, y'all are making it seem like we're buying computer software from, Staples or something. Like,
Yeah.
This is not it, folks. Like, this has to be like an app. This has to be appified. And it wasn't the company, it was the industry. What I started to learn was that, okay, I could go follow the leaders that are positioning this corporate jargon, or I could listen and help the business owner that has a different story but is paying the premium no matter what. And I was dealing with people that were paying thousands of dollars a month for yellow page front covers, binders, magnets, double quarter columns, half pages. And they were getting leads, they were getting calls, they were getting customers. Some of the biggest attorneys in America come from the yellow pages, build their notoriety off the yellow pages. And there's history around, there's details around that, but that's evolved. When that evolved, I was part of that early evolution with the company I was with, who was the printer of all the yellow pages, which was nuts. I didn't know what I know now then. So all I'm doing is driving in my car, going door to door, meeting with this one, that one, the other one, all average business owners, and saying, hey, we're going to renew your print as is. We're going to add some color to it, but I'm going to take some of that money. I'm going to give you some discounts, take some of that money, and you're going to put a leg up on my hand. I'm going to lift you over the fence, and we're going to get you onto the cloud. And they had the same response because, we all have an art, and maybe I said it enough where I caught their attention, and they give me the But they tried canceling that the minute I walked out the door or a few weeks later because there wasn't enough substance. And what I started to learn was when you have substance, it sticks.
Yeah.
And you had talked about blade revenue and monthly recurring revenue. When you were doing it, you'd have enough substance. You had Elmer's glue. You didn't have Gorilla Glue. And Gorilla Glue is what keeps things sticking to the point where your fingers, you get kind of nervous. And that's how I started looking at things. And maybe it's maturity, or maybe it's tired of being broke, or life's changing quick and I got things coming in and ain't stopping.
Yeah.
So we all have our story. But I think for someone that's listening brand new, and we talked about this offline, this is not to impress anybody. Like, you don't do this to impress your peers in the industry. You do this to capture new people's attention, to say, hey, follow my lead on my journey, and you could do the same thing if you put your mind and effort to it.
Well, it's one of those things too, like in my journey of growing. Today I run 2 businesses. I have Progretta, which is my white label SaaS. That was my original.
That used to be a secret. No one would ever say what their name was. Now people say it because I got a high, man. You can't compete with me.
Now that used to be a secret, right?
It used
to be a secret. It's like, I don't want you to know my name. I don't want you to know my, I don't want you to funnel hack me. I don't want you to go through my processes and try to duplicate my systems. And now we're completely transparent with it because actually I had a conversation with you. Now, this is so profound. I had a conversation with you, and the conversation, the gist of the conversation was like, think bigger. Like that was the gist of the conversation. It's like, it's one thing to say, hey.
That was at this summit we were talking. I remember we were at the VIP lounge, I think is what you're referring to. And you're like, wait, you for real?
On Zoom.
Oh, I didn't remember that one.
On Zoom.
Wow.
We had a call. So we met in Dallas at the Level Up Summit. And then I believe I asked you to schedule a call or to talk to you offline.
I know we definitely talked about. I'm not thinking that back.
Over the years now at this point. But the gist of the conversation was like, hey, bro, think bigger, but I gotta go. Peace out. Right? So it was like, hey, I got a meeting right now, but think bigger. All right, peace out.
Yo, it's crazy. But it's because, you know what it is, Andy, man? Like, everyone sizes everybody up. Like, you're giving, everyone's got a first impression. Call it a first impression. Call it, a compliment. But we're all sizing each other up. So when I see what you're doing and when I see what other people are doing, they're either hiding it really well, where they're not letting anyone know what they're doing. They're not here to show it off. Or they're really not doing it, and we're assuming that they're doing it. And you put yourself out there pretty transparently with your brand and all that. So I was like, man, just out of curiosity, are you doing this too? No, I never thought of it. I want to yell at that point because I'm like, how do you not think of this?
And I think that transparency allows for, there are bad actors, I'm sure, that will funnel hack you, will try to steal, things of that nature. But, or there are people who are like, hey, do you know you can do this tweak? And that's what I experienced with you. Like, do you know you could do this tweak? Did you know you could do this little thing? And what's cool about the high level community, if you go to the Facebook group, if you're in the events and so on and so forth, it's like, I live in Georgia. Andy, you live in Las Vegas, completely different territory. This is what I'm doing in Georgia. Maybe it'll work in Las Vegas. Why don't you try it? It's like, that's a good idea. Let me go try that. So it's like going to those events and creating that relationships, having these type of conversations starts to open. But most importantly, like, the reason I do this content is because I found over the years, when I remember you're in Las Vegas today, where's home for you? Jersey, right?
I moved from Jersey to Jacksonville, Florida.
You're in Florida. I remember driving around Las Vegas, man, 2021, 2022, and I'm studying Paulson's content, the content that he's putting out, Chase's content. Back then, Chase.
And these are for those that don't know, because you got a lot of new people on your stuff. These are original employees of HighLevel.
Yes,
that are still here.
They're still running the company. They build teams now. But I remember Chase was the one that was creating more of the content before Paulson, and then Paulson went ahead and started taking over. And I would drive around. I remember there were some days when we running my agency, when we talk about transparency, where I'm running my agency throughout the day. Hey, this funnel this API that, this workflow that, this automation this, and fixing problems. And I'm like, this is not what I envisioned running a business is like. I would get into my car and I would drive around the city listening to Chase's Paulson content, trying to immerse myself into the content. I would listen to podcasts. Now, back then, HighLevel wasn't putting out as much content as it is today. So I would listen to people's content like this, like podcasts going back and forth, talking about their experience and opening my eyes to something. Then I remember parking at an insurance company, random insurance company. I'm just driving around the city and I park in front of a business. This specific business is an car insurance company. And I'm like, man, what would it take for me to get a client like that onto my Go HighLevel business? I don't know. I go back home. I'm just listening to content and I'm just applying what I'm learning. 2.5 years later, my business revenue gets to a place that I'm able to enter into a specific mastermind. In the mastermind, it's essentially different businesses. You can't have competitors in the same business. So I go in as SaaS. My business is a software business. And I'm talking about my business and so on and so forth. And this person approaches me and says, hey, the business that you're in, I need that in my company. Like your automation, workflow you talk about, the challenges that you solve, and so on and so forth. Like, I need that in my company, man. So we sit down, they come to my office. The owner of this insurance franchise, we sit down in my office, we start strategizing, so on and so forth. They end up signing up and working with us. And I'm like, where's your location? They told me the location. That's where I was sitting down 2.5 years prior in the parking lot, listening to the content. And I'm like, I'm consulting. You're the owner in my office, and I'm consulting the owner on digital marketing technologies when 2.5 years prior, I was down in the dumps listening to this type of content here. Exactly what you and I are doing. So wherever you're listening to this, iTunes, Spotify, whatever you're listening to this is the opportunity that's in front of you.
This is all by design.
Yeah.
This is all by design in life. And, as I hear you share the story, I have goosebumps because I can see it in your face. I can feel it. It's that moment in your life that you remembered that was pivotal for you. And you can't fabricate past sharing it in the present. That's why personal stories are called personal stories. You got storytelling and you got personal stories. That was a personal story. And for me personally, I've had similar situations in different angles. Some people will call it woo-woo. That's woo-woo, man. That's that's not real. That's real. My best friend growing up, I go to his crib, man, and he'd have a bunch of sticky notes on his wall. I'm like, what is all this for? Lamborghini, all name brands, all this stuff. He was manifesting, bringing it to fruition, bringing it to existence, speaking it out loud. He'd do these things of like, I do a reset. We'd be out, hanging out, do a reset. What does that mean? Shut the car off, park somewhere, put the seat all the way back, put some soft mind music on, get a wet towel, put over your eyes, and give it 25 minutes. Nothing more, nothing less. All right. And I got doing the same, just following the lead, because hardhead JB then was negative thinking, being ready for the most negative, worst case scenario. So I always attracted negative, bad stuff until I started to attract positive, thinking about what the future would look like if this, that, or that would happen. And this stuff started happening little by little. Now, I'm not saying you think of $1 million and you see $1 million. No.
Right.
Right? Not by all means. But your story, I've been through it. And that's why I get to be here today. See, I wanted to break free from what I was doing, and I got to break free in different angles. But I'd always get told, JB, you remind me of this, or you remind me of that, or you be good at this, you be good at that. And I didn't know where to start. For someone brand new, consuming knowledge, whether you didn't complete high school, or you've been to college, or you've not been to college, on this high-level journey, what you shared, what you did is exactly the formula people should be considering. And that is building this vocabulary list in your mind. See, at first you start off And I know that this is going to probably come off like a freaking masterclass, but I know we got to chop this up. But the original archive, right? Like this is our real talk. This isn't like PR stuff. Like we're talking gentleman to gentleman like we would if we were off camera, right? And you pick what you feel appropriate to share. You know, when you're listening to podcasts, you're listening to either listen just to listen to check the box, or you're listening to get the true clues, the vocabulary, the jargon. See, today's business owner now knows a lot more than they did before.
Yeah.
I'm at a conference here. That's why I was able to be here. So it worked out perfectly. I'm in your neck of the woods. I'm at a conference and you invite me. Great. But these business owners are talking everything you just said. And I'm saying, oh, how long you've had your agency for? Oh, I don't have one. I'm an accountant. Okay. So it didn't click at first. Oh, I don't have one. I'm a chiropractor. Oh, I don't have one. I have neuroscience facilities. So I'm thinking in my head, why are you here at this conference? Because they're learning AI.
Yeah.
So they're not waiting for AI to teach them. They're waiting to teach and learn AI at their pace to their staff, to their colleagues, to their associations.
Yeah.
So what could someone do brand new? Well, hopefully you agree with me on this. Take time to mass consume stuff that's relatable to what you're doing, which is high-level related content. Whether it's triggers, actions, voicemail drops, all these different features that are frequently mentioned, DBR, a reactivation campaign, they still throw out missed call text back.
Yeah.
Voice AI, outbound, inbound, right? If you process that as vocabulary words, like we did back in the day, well, then you see the word, you read the word, you are familiar with the word. But until you take the pen and paper and write out the definition of the word, the brain doesn't store it. That's why they used to have us write the vocabulary definitions. You do that with HighLevel, and you commit to learning it as if it was something you were going through a GED or a master's or a bachelor's program. You will learn it very well. Now, consuming the information is key, but more importantly, what's the end result you want? And what I want to share is that you could overconsume everything.
Yeah.
You could watch this without skipping it. But what is the end result? And that's the missing piece a lot of times with what people share. You went through the hard time, and now you have your format of educating people within the ecosystem. You give them the fast track. But to get to the fast track, you need to know what's the right direction to find the track to jump on. Because you just can't build a train and say, hey, go choo-choo the way down there. They got to build tracks from a distance. So for someone that is listening here and they're like, this guy JB, he's a staff member. What value could he bring? I mean, we've all lived stories. I lived my series of them. You got to be a student of the game.
I hope you're enjoying this podcast with JB. Before we move on and go on to the next part of this episode, I do want to share with you, HighLevel has extended a 30-day trial, allowing you to actually go ahead and try HighLevel for free. That's right, for free for the next month. And if you decide to use HighLevel using the affiliate link down below, which is a link that if you decide to use, doesn't cost you anything extra. If you decide to use that specific link, I do get a commission. And because I get a commission, HighLevel's partner program has incentivized me to make sure that you're successful utilizing HighLevel. So in addition to you getting 30 days completely for free for HighLevel to try it out, I'm going to be giving you weekly coaching where you'll be working with me and my team of coaches every single week live on Zoom to guide you through the platform to help you be successful. Number 2, you're going to get access to a Slack community where it's going to be me and a group of other HighLevel agencies, over 1,500 agency owners that are implementing HighLevel inside of their business and winning. You get to connect with them and see what they're doing inside of their business. Also, you're going to get access to my courses. These are the courses that break down on how to market, how to sell, how to onboard customers, how to retain subscribers, and how to scale your business with virtual assistants. Last but not least, you're going to also get templates, my automation templates, my funnels, my workflows, and so forth for you to implement inside of your business. This costs thousands of dollars, or if you want to pay $2,000 a year, I'm going to give it to you completely free when you decide to join using my affiliate link down below. So let's get back to the podcast episode. You mentioned clues, and I'm curious, like even if I'm able to catch clues, because I just caught a clue from what you were saying. When you were working at a previous company before HighLevel, so if I'm listening to this and I'm moving forward, every time I see a spotlight session, a masterclass, a workshop that you're hosting, I know your vantage point or the glasses that you have is when you were knocking on doors and you were transitioning customers from paper to the cloud. Like that was the transition, right? And then now today, the transition is how do you go from non-AI to artificial intelligence and implementing artificial intelligence? So some of the objections and challenges that a agency owner might have today might be very relevant towards the experience that you had when you were working with the previous company. And it makes it a perfect opportunity for you to educate and elaborate on, hey, this is the experience that you experienced when you were transitioning people from paper to the cloud to now. If I'm an agency owner going in, brand new, let's say I'm 17 years old, 20 years old, whatever the age group, and I'm now transitioning people from a basic CRM that is outdated to artificial intelligence and the technology with triggers, workflows, actions, and AI doing most of the work.
I'm biting my tongue, man, because this could, one thing I learned is the emotion will dictate the story you want shared. I went through the headaches of being insulted with business owners, people that were condescending, and all this stuff in between when I was trying to help them. And sometimes people that are experiencing this now, successful business owners, agency owners with real businesses, could almost feel like they're being condescended. They could feel almost insulted. Bro, you're telling me that your AI stuff is going to make my business better? You know what effort I put into A, B, C?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a big shift. And what I'll say based on what I see, what I learn, and questions I ask and the answers I get is that no matter where a business owner is in their journey, they can look at the change we're experiencing now. We deal with this with presidents. We deal with this with what's going on in the world, right? These revolutions, these eras. And if you look at AI, we're definitely at the beginning phase, but we are at the beginning phase of excitement. Because now you say AI, they're not thinking just what we do every day.
Yeah.
They're thinking photos, videos, changing voices. They're thinking fun stuff. The more sophisticated are now, how do I clone myself? How do I automate this? So the efficiency becomes maturity. And that's what this level of maturity is increasing. Now the question becomes, well, why do you look at it like that? Well, if you start to change your thought around a standard way of doing business, which is paper pen or a CRM, and you start to look at AI as an accelerator to give your customers, to give your high ticket or your low ticket clients answers at their need, at their place, then you're going to start to appreciate it more. But if you look at it as an inconvenience, you got to spend more money, you got to learn it, you got to figure it out, then you're being selfish. This is not a you thing. And sometimes people get into the business because they want to make more money. Others want to get into business because they want to serve. And you don't have to do one or the other. You could have a blend. So the shift of AI is, okay, I'm going to make money no matter what. How am I going to make money? Do I make money selling my time, fulfilling things, being creative, being an extension employee of another business that can't rub two pennies together and that is not guaranteed that they're going to pay me and I'm not going to put them to collections? That got to work. I don't have the minimum. You know how that goes. I'm not going to call an attorney and say, I'm going to sue you because it all costs money. Or do I start to shift to sell access? When you start to sell access, you could sell time in a pre-recorded fashion because knowledge has an expiration date like milk. But milk gets replaced all the time in the supermarket. So does knowledge. If you're not lazy, if you record the content and you have a cadence, then you could always be like the milkman or the supermarket putting new milk in, and every 2 weeks the expiration date doesn't matter because people are always going to buy milk.
Yeah.
Or eggs. All of that has expiration dates, organic or not. So we're in the business of access if I were to meet you today from paper to CRM, because that's what I did, and now I say, hey man, we're going to keep everything as is. You keep your CRM, you keep your marketing, you keep your framework, you keep everything. Just put your leg up. I'm going to lift you up over the fence. You might fall if you don't keep your balance, but you're going to sell access now. And it's going to feel a little weird. You're going to feel a little bit like you're not worthy of it. Why me? Why would they listen to me? But there's somebody that needs your help because they want to learn what you did already. You don't appreciate as much as they do. So you're going to jump them over. This is where they start to do their webinars. This is where they start to put their collateral together, their mini books, their handouts, their resources. That's selling access.
You know, I never actually thought about it like that until now, that actually you're a bridge to the new technology. Let's talk a little bit about white label and reselling.
You'll make a lot of people mad because there's different perceptions of it, different perceptions of it.
What are they?
Well, this is your audience, right? And if you don't mind me asking you a question, how do you share or introduce that to your audience?
The ability to white label and resell.
Yeah.
The way I introduce it is that the technology, similar to what you said, which is here's access, here's a tool, here's a platform that you can take, put your brand on it, own it as an asset inside of your life, inside of your business, and give people the technology to help them grow and accelerate.
And then they expect you to show them how to do it step by step.
Sometimes, yeah.
Right? Because it sounds easy, but we know it's not easy. So the people that know it's not easy, they're the ones that get the most upset, because in their eyes, they're looking at it as, well, you're not really sharing what's involved.
I wouldn't say it's easy. I would say it's simple, though.
It can be simple.
And when I say it's simple, it's, do you know what buttons to push? Not necessarily in the technology. I'm talking about up here.
That's why we get along.
Yeah.
I could pick up the phone any time of the day, see you at any event, and I'll talk to you in weeks. Work with your executive assistant to coordinate things. And when we meet, we pick up right where we last left off. And I have that relationship with a handful of people. And man, it is, when you say that person will tell me the truth, that's the description that I use, that I want to ask them, hey, how do I look? Or man, give me your honest opinion. Was that weak? JB, that was weak, bro. Don't quit your day job. You know what I mean? That's what I want to know. So I appreciate you sharing that. But more importantly, man, bro, like it's why are we getting into it? Right? I think that's the biggest thing is why do you get into white label reselling? Why do you get into packaging something that you didn't make from scratch? And I go back to an example of what like the Costco's and the BJ's and the Walmarts are doing now, right? Even the local supermarket that's sophisticated has their version of what they're selling from Procter & Gamble and all these other companies right next to it. Well,
I would go into a philosophy, whatever the word is, into the way of thinking is that what did you make? Because if I sell clothes, like you came in with a spiffy jacket, I love it. Did I make the ribbon? Did I make the fabric? No, I sourced that. And I packaged it in a way that JB said, hey, from the size to the design to the sophistication of it to so forth, in a way that JB's going to buy it.
No, I bought it because I'm 52R, and 52R doesn't always fit the same way.
But that one fit, I'm assuming, the way that you wanted it to fit.
Yeah, at that moment.
At that moment. The same thing with HighLevel. When I see the opportunity to white label it and resell it, it's that I get to package it and set it up in my way, in my design. And when people search that online, they will see consistency throughout the board. So this is a consistent engine, because if I say, hey, my CRM is the number, the one of the top coaching platforms for coaches that are online selling their online courses, when they search that name, they're going to see the YouTube videos. They're going to see the ads. They're going to see the consistency throughout the brand. If I say, hey, this is another high-level business and it's only positioned as HighLevel, then they see HighLevel and what HighLevel's positioned their software for. So the value of white labeling is it allows agencies to resell and create their own ecosystem. There's events happening around the world of people who are rooting for their business growth, and they all have a similar concept. They all have a similar mindset. They all have a specific way of thinking, and this is this one community, and it's all revolved around this platform. And that platform name happens to not be HighLevel, happens to be a different name. So, for example, my white label is called Progretta. I have the Progression Conference, which is an event. Progretta, by the way, is Progress Daily mashed together. I dropped the SS at the end of Progress. And then Daily, I dropped the ILY, Progretta, put those two words together, Progretta. And then now I created the Progression Conference to consult businesses and educate them on the newest and greatest technology. And now there's people like, I'm a Progretta customer. I'm a Progretta customer. I'm a Progretta customer. Some of them know, hey, it's HighLevel white label. Some of them are like, it doesn't matter, but I have all the systems. I have all the processes. I have all the technology. True story. I had a now, because I now share my experience on being a white label agency to HighLevel agencies. That is what
I never saw that on your page.
What?
When I go on your Facebook page, I'm not seeing that whole storyline. Like how your name was made, right? You're not making videos about that because the audience is different.
The audience is different today.
Your audience, the way you said that to is to your existing customers. Like when I go to Planet Fitness, I see the mission statement. Unless you're a Planet Fitness customer, you're not looking at the mission statement before you go into the bathroom. That mission statement is reminding you all the time while you're a customer of that gym.
To progress daily.
Progress. And that's what you do with your customers. Do mantras, do videos. Because, and this is what happens, right? Oh, and this is where the clues become real clues. And you got me all pumped up around this because, see, when people hear this type of content, they're like, oh, this is easy. I'll just transcribe, take action.
Yeah.
Well, we're not giving you the full scope. because it'd be a masterclass for every component. But what the example you just shared, how I would interpret that personally is, okay, he's not sharing everything he says and does online to everybody. But if I'm a paying customer of him, I'm going to get a different version of that business experience and intelligence.
Of course.
And I'm going to get a special invite to this progression conference that I've never seen anything on. Now, you do something different for agency owners and marketers that you've done frequently this year. That's a totally different than the progression.
Yeah.
It's not GHL engine progression.
Correct.
Right? Because your customers are paying. I remember when I first met you and I looked at you had your testimonials. Right? You had like a med spa and a few people on there. And these men and women you could tell this wasn't like, hey, you mind doing me a favor? This was, I've been waiting for you to ask me.
Yeah.
And that's key. And that's what we want to encourage people to do. But I just want to, for me, as I'm interpreting and what you're sharing with me, man, I didn't know that. I didn't know you had a progression conference. We didn't talk about that ever. Never came up.
I mean, once, you can sign up for my white label set. But the point is, like, the community is there. Now, the reason for the pivot is adding GHL because I still have my progression conference, still have my Progress Daily software, which is a white label of HighLevel. The reason for the pivot is because it's something that I saw. I did a post on HighLevel's Facebook group, just sharing my experience, which was I retired my wife, man.
God bless.
Monthly recurring revenue through HighLevel.
And you just had a baby.
That's another thing.
Congrats, man.
I retired my wife a couple of years ago because the monthly recurring revenue from my white label software, I saw that it was actually sticky. I saw that it wasn't like a fly by night, like I'm going to pay 2 months. No, people were paying years. People were paying, I'm paying annual upfront. I got this. This is running my business. Then I saw I wrote a post that I said, thanks to SaaS, I'm now able to retire my wife. And this was just me being vulnerable. I'm kind of like in one of those scenarios in the gym, like, do I post it and share, or do I keep it and hoard it to myself?
Your endorphins were on fire.
And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna post it. I'm gonna post it. So I posted one of my most vulnerable posts, and I posted letting other agency knows it is real with HighLevel. It is possible with HighLevel. Here's a couple of steps of what I took if it's valuable for you, and this is the outcome. Men, people in my DMs, people in the comments, hey, I now want to retire my wife. I want to be able to take care of my family. And I said, man, let me just share with you at least what I did. And that's the birth of GHL Engine. Now, transparently here, JB, I think it's selfish to not share.
I agree. But it's also, nobody wants to embarrass themselves either.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to put all their business on 21 Jump Street. Nobody wants to be judged. And some people don't even want to share success because they don't want the IRS knocking on their door. So there's different reasons why people don't share. And sometimes people look at it as, oh, they don't want to be vulnerable enough. Or, oh, they're being greedy. No. Privacy is privacy for a reason. And we have tons of wins. I'm privy to tons of great information. I just can't tell everybody everything because I want to be transparent and vulnerable.
Yeah. What can you tell? What is something that could be inspiring? I know, like, when I listen to this type of content, I was the listener here. I would love to hear from JB, like, what are some things that I could think about? What are those private conversations that you had with Andy that where it was pivotal in his journey? What are the conversations that are being had to shift the mindset going forward as an agency owner?
First one, from what I'm seeing, what I'm hearing, what I'm starting to take the clues, is build to be acquired. Now, that doesn't mean you have to go get an MBA or finance or spend tons of money on attorneys and a CFO, and you're not going to go public on the stock exchange, but build to be acquired. Understand what's required to be acquired.
Understand what's required to be acquired. Okay.
And that's not patenting. That's not trademark. I just said it naturally.
Yeah.
And you understand that. Caught your attention because you do the same thing too. What happens is that we're like tigers with stripes. The more we go through, the more we get more stripes. We get more energy. We get more this perseverance and grit. And I share things, sometimes it comes off aggressive. It comes off, oh, this guy thinks they know it all. No. Because I've always been in the right rooms around the right people, but not in the boardroom when the decision was made. Now, some people might think I'm 25, 30. I'm in my 40s. And people late in the game in life is in the eyes of the beholder of how you judge yourself, your age, and your wisdom and your energy. And if you're 25, you should be thinking build to be acquired. You think you're 35, 45, 55, 65. I met people today that were 70. I'm getting started with HighLevel. Well, okay, let's rock and roll.
Yeah.
They're waiting for me to say something funny. They're waiting for it because other people have said something funny to them, right? You know, oh, you're come on, stop playing. You're too old for that. That's what their family's telling them. You're too old for that, bro.
Yeah.
And I think for me personally, build to acquire is to know the mechanics. What are the KPIs that someone that's going to buy from you is going to look for? Like if you bought a house or sold a house, you're looking for certain things. Home inspection, how many rooms, how many garages, where the community is. Well, they're going to look at your business you're building on HighLevel that same way. And more people are selling their businesses. Now,
as a white label?
As a white label, as consultancy, And now there's differences. People will buy your proprietary information. People will also buy your subscribership. People will also buy your time. And I feel like you have a little bit of all of that. And there's a lot of people that have a little bit of all of that. But if you were to have 5,000 subscribers and this other company that is trying to compete with what HighLevel is doing says, hey, we'll just buy a bunch of those agencies and maybe we could be like them too. They'll pay a premium. Or there might just be somebody that says, hey, I want to start a marketing company and I don't want to build it from scratch. I want something that's like a franchise. I want something proven that I could implement my time and energy to learn. You buy a Subway, you got to learn how to make the tuna sandwich, the Italian sandwich. You buy a Five Guys, same thing. You buy a joint chiropractic friend, you got to learn you got to be a chiropractor, obviously, but you have to know the joint way of doing it. So every franchise has a business model. What's your business model? What does it align with? And what would the price be you'd sell it for? And not just how much you want to sell it for. It's not like buying a used car because it's a used this high-end used car. You spent, so-and-so amount of money for it. And now you want to get at least 60% of that back because, it's a used car, but it's a good used car. No, this is the market value based on KPI 1, 2, and 3. That's where EBITDA and all these other words come in play.
These big words.
Oof.
EBITDA margins. Now, which is,
that's a whole other.
Yeah, that's a whole.
And I'm not qualified to speak about that, so don't throw no sneaking no questions on that because I don't know. I know enough to get me to point A to point B. I'll figure out everything in between, but I don't essentially always want to get to Z. I'm okay with the middle part, and then maybe I'll go into numbers.
Well, that's leadership, man. You don't got to know all the details, man. EBITDA, like for example, I have a scorecard in my company, and I just track EBITDA margin percentage. But I pay the expert who comes into my meeting every week, and then he says, "Hey, this is the EBITDA margin. This is the cost of goods. This is the return on, on ad spend. This is the money." And it's like I know enough to see if we're going in the right direction. I know enough, but I don't get into the nitty gritty of QuickBooks, man. I'm not into. But that's a whole nother conversation. For someone who is, we talked a little bit about people who are on the newer side of HighLevel. Talk to the person who is agency number 123. Like agency relationship number one, like the 100th customer I'm not someone new. I've been in there for a while. What should they know? What should they do? What should they be on the lookout for? Maybe what should they be considering?
I don't have it. Because agency number 123 has been doing this way longer than I have in the ecosystem. So I'm leaning on them. But I will say from a business perspective, bringing my stripes, my experience, my failures, my successes, I will say that AI is helping everyone in some way, shape, or form, whether you are seeing it because you're tuned into that channel or you're not. And you should look at AI as amplifying the things you're doing great now. And once you start to understand the key features and services within the AI suite, this is outside of HighLevel AI employee. I'm talking about just AI in general suite. You have OpenAI, you have all these different big operating systems that are building like pretty much the foundation of making this easily accessible. Once you start to understand how to navigate with it, you start to explore things like MCP. You start to understand what agentic really means. You start to understand that AI agents, from what you see from the friends on your Facebook or Instagram, whatever, is different than the way that mid-market and enterprise businesses are using AI agents. You'll also notice that all these big companies are advertising AI agents just a little different because they're catering to their end users. Now, there's fundamentals to be able to say AI agents and agentic, but now more than ever, you need to adopt and make it part of your suite because here's what will happen. Your customer will stay with you because you have all the legacy items. There's still people on the yellow pages, people that do billboards, people that do flyers. They'll keep doing that, but they're going to shift their money elsewhere, and that's going to force you to have to lower your price each and every time. And they're going to start to deteriorate their relationships with you because every time they talk to you, it's about asking for a discount, not, hey, what else do you have? Now, you won't notice this right away. It deteriorates like anything does. It rusts. Add enough water and don't maintain what you got to maintain, it's going to rust. And then you're going to notice a big rust. So to avoid rust, keep the WD-40 on the chain on the bike, ride the bike, and then learn how to do little papa wheelies here and there. And if you fall and scrape yourself, you just put a helmet on and pads. You look crazy in the beginning, but when you fall to the side or to the back, you're not going to hurt yourself. You're going to get back up. That's for the person that's been doing it. And maybe they're about my age because they've been doing it for a while. For the new person, educate the heck out of yourself. And I mean, like even at HighLevel, man, a lot of people don't even know about help.gohighlevel.com. They don't even know it exists. It's crazy. Help.gohighlevel.com gives you everything you need to know about HighLevel. It is the instruction manual that you wish Amazon or IKEA would give you to put that item together. And it's not faded. It's in depth. And once you have that instruction manual, it's no longer resource, it's effort. And you can't coach effort, right? You could coach resources. Hey, look here, do that, study it, right? But someone's got to want to study it. So the resources are there. And once you know where the resources are, it's getting a habit of learning it and implementing it. So Help.Go HighLevel is the magic. And as you start to learn it, here's what I feel what happens in my personal experience. And you tell me how you feel about it. But you talk about like putting a puzzle together. You're like, oh, I don't put puzzles together. Playing board games, I don't play board game right now. I don't got time to play board games. I don't got time to play video games. But once you play for it a little bit or you do it a little bit, you're like, oh, this is actually fun. I actually enjoy this. It's actually stress relieving. Because when you exercise your mind with what you don't know, you start to embrace it and you do it more often. And a lot of people are just hard-headed, man. They don't want to try new things because it's, in their mind, take a lot of time, but that's not worth it. So try new things, get in HighLevel, explore the HighLevel AI. And if you're like me or most normal people, you're going to have shiny object syndrome. And there's other best versions of everything. But if you don't know the mechanics, what good is it? Ours is easy. And that's me having to figure it out myself too. But there are harder ones. There are different angles you could go. But unless you want to learn API, this, that, the other, like you just said earlier, maybe that's where you start to learn and you enjoy doing, you do it more often. But for someone that wants to say, hey, Andy, you got this guy JB on. At the moment of this recording, he's going over ABC. How is this relevant to me now? Well, once you get in, like through your training, you start pushing the buttons. Like if I go on my thing, and this is being a steward of what you do, right? You just can't say, hey, I'm going to try this out and then not do anything with it. But even at like a conference, I'll be like, have you ever used AI? No. Entertain me for a minute. And they'll be like, what do you mean? Watch this. And I have JB Tree Service on my phone. And just how you looked at me, you're like, all right, what's it about to do right now? I do with them.
Hey there, are you an existing customer or are you looking for service?
Hey, I'll be honest with you, man.
Great.
No, it's not great. Joey, do me a favor. Get the guy off the truck there. Is this JB Tree Service?
Yes, you've reached JB's Tree Service.
All right, so here's my
How
situation.
can I help?
Yeah, we're calling from the town. We had a big storm here. We got a bunch of trees in the middle of the road. We got guys that are blocking and trying to handle this. We need more help. You can send us the invoice, but we need your guys out here to help clear these roads.
Wow, that sounds like a tough situation. We definitely want to help get those roads cleared up. Can I grab your name and the address?
Yeah, I'm not interested in that. I'm not interested in that, man. I need someone that can help me out with this right now. I don't want to talk to robots and stuff. Can I send you some photos? And can you have someone call me back?
Absolutely, you can send us photos. Just text them to 628-444-4694. I'll make sure an arborist gets back to you as soon as possible. What's the best number and name for a callback?
JB 908-222-1414. Frank, you can't have that guy do this. He'll hurt himself.
Thanks for sharing your number. Just to confirm, that's JB 908-222-1414. And who should our arborist ask for when they call back?
Mike, have the town police wait there. Hey, I don't got really time to go back and forth. Can you just have someone call me back as soon as possible, please?
Of course, I'll make sure someone calls you back as soon as possible. Just to confirm, is your name Mike?
No, I'm talking to somebody else. My name's JB 908-93-444-1212. Just have him call me back, all right? Thanks.
Got it, JD. I'll have our team call you back at 908-934-441212 as soon as possible. If you can, text any photos of the situation to 628-444-4694. It'll help us assess things faster. Hang in there. We'll be in touch soon.
Boom.
That's what I do on a demo. And then go, so how do we do this?
Boom. Well, one of the things as you were explaining is that I want to make sure the audience understands how I understand you. Maybe it's because I'm from the East Coast, you're from the East Coast, there's a way of communication, or maybe it's a telepathy thing, maybe it's brainwaves. But you spoke to two audiences as we wrap up this episode. You spoke to two audiences. The first audience was someone who has been spending time in the HighLevel ecosystem or who has been an entrepreneur for years. Number one, as technology evolves and your systems evolve, it's like milk. People always want milk, but if you leave it up there, it's going to spoil over time. If you leave the same bottle of milk, it's going to spoil over time. You need to update and bring in new knowledge consistently. Also, your sales system or whatever it is that you're selling, your product itself. If you're selling paper, what's going to end up happening is that your customer is going to come to you not about expansion, about what can I get into next? What can I do? It's give me a discount, and slowly your business starts chipping away. Your income starts to go down and down and down, and it's very subtle, similar to the frog in the pot, where the frog goes into the pot, it gets to warm, it keeps getting warm, and over time, the frog dies. So ultimately, if your business operates like that, your business could possibly die if you don't evolve with new technology. Today, as of right now, the new technology is artificial intelligence. Now, for the newer folks, people who are coming in the last 6 months, last 60 days, last 6 hours, last 6 years, whatever the time frame is, educate yourself, listen to content like this, and really immerse yourself into learning what's new, which is why people can listen to you in HighLevel's YouTube channel and learn more about artificial intelligence, because that's what's the new technology today. You mentioned MCP server. This is a call to action now to go and identify what is MCP server, what is AI, how can I use AI agents inside of my business, so forth. JB, it's been a pleasure to have you on this episode with me at GHL Engine. And what is some lasting word that you want to share with the audience as we wrap up?
I'm not for everyone, and you are not either. And that's going to mean that maybe they don't align with your pricing model. Maybe they don't align with how you do business, how you share your knowledge, how you want to consult them or not have the time to be a babysitter. So find the customers, your first 10 customers that you could align with, and know that they're not going to be with you forever, but take notes and build the foundation, and then start to customize what your future customer looks like based on what your future tech stack that you're going to offer is going to be. And AI, you could keep it general, but AI and marketing can't be really separated anymore. It has to be AI plus marketing. AI, not because it's A in the alphabet, it's because that's what's top of mind. Marketing is just the historical library book. Even though you know it's better, whatever it is, to the customer who's paying you, AI is number one.
AI is number one. If you found this episode to be tremendously valuable and you want to implement AI inside of your business, down below in the description, there's a link to try HighLevel. And if you decide to try HighLevel, using that specific link down below, I'm going to give you a few resources. Number one, I'm going to give you weekly coaching where myself and my team of coaches are going to guide you to maximize HighLevel inside your business. We're going to give you tools and templates to learn how to actually go and sell artificial intelligence to customers. Exactly what you saw JB do today. We'll show you step-by-step on how you can create your own AI agent, sell it to customers, and create monthly recurring revenue. I hope you found this podcast to be valuable. And if you love this type of content, be sure to like this video and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye for now.